Hello, I am joined today by Tara, who's going to explain some incredible things to us. Hello, Tara, how are you?
I'm really well indeed. Yeah.
Good, and so you contacted me the other week and wanted to talk to me about UFOs, and then you told me some
That's
interesting
correct.
information, and I thought, this is really about Rae lism, which is something I'm not very familiar with. So I'm intrigued. Let's. Do you want to tell us your story?
Okay, for sure. Well, thanks for responding to my request. That's really nice of you.
No problem.
The wonderful thing about this is that it's intricate and enormous and universal, intergalactic, and it's really for us at this time. As you can see, the pressure cooker's on for a lot of people just from the austerities that have come down from the authorities or departing authorities to be. And it's when we go through the pressure cooker or these enormous kind of global events that we can kind of bring up the big question mark, like, how did I get here? Where are we going? What's the big picture? And this is where Raelianism or the Raelian message comes in, because in 1973, December the 13th, a man named Claude Villion, now known as Rael, had an extraordinary encounter in France, in an area called the Puy-Lac du Solar volcanic region. And it's where it's not far from Clermont-Ferrand, and it's a region where local families go for picnics, or they go to climb the volcano, or go at the weekends. But this was a working day, and Rael said he had this compelling feeling to go to this place, to go to this volcano, to the side of this volcano. And he was walking and he was really questioning, well, look, this is an office day, I should be working. And he was climbing the mountain and, but he felt he really had to be there. And it was then that he saw a very bright flashing light coming towards him. And then the shape of course, was the UFO craft, which was a bell shape. And this craft, he thought, well, is this a helicopter or is this something else? But no, it came closer and closer. And then it landed. And a trapdoor opened, and a small being descended the stairs and started to walk towards him. Of course, Rael at the time was just like, oh my goodness, I'll just stay still, and maybe it has a weapon, maybe it doesn't, but I'll just stand here, maybe it won't even see me. But this beautiful being descended the stairs, and Rael always comments on the radiance of love that was shining from this being, the magnitude of this glorious love that was coming from this small person. And he had a one-piece suit, and he walked directly towards Rael, and they started to have a conversation. And, where are you from? Why have you come here? And he discovered that they had come directly to see him. And, that must have been the most amazing experience to hear that. And then he proceeded to ask more questions, and then was invited to sit down in the craft, and they had a conversation. And this was the beginning of the messages being brought to humanity from our creators, the Elohim, another humanity in space. And on that first encounter there, on the 13th of December, he was told that afternoon to come back, don't bring a metal object, bring a Bible and something to write with and a notepad and to take information from this being. And this information has been documented in the book Intelligent Design, Message from the Designers, that is downloadable for free at rael.org and has been translated into many different languages all across the world. And so this was the extraordinary day that Maitreya had that absolutely changed his life completely. And over a period of 6 days, 1 hour a day, he took a dictation from this Eloha, which is singular for Elohim, and then proceeded to transcribe it and telling a little bit about his life and how he came to be there at this incredible time, and started to share this information locally in his community. I think he actually did a television broadcast in France, and it was very interesting because my present partner father saw that interview and was completely moved by it, absolutely taken by it, and contacted him and actually helped him publish the first set of the messages, I believe. That's the story. So, this is an incredible story of, how would you feel? How would you feel if that happened to you?
Oh,
one little person.
Well, if we can pause the story there, because I've got a couple of questions.
Yeah.
To put this into context, I used to be a pilot and a long time ago, but I know how aircraft work, and I have spent a lot of time looking up at the sky, and I've seen multiple UFOs, right, over the last 30 years. And funnily enough, I actually live in a town in Ireland where there are 3 men here that I know who are in their late 60s who had a very similar experience with a UFO just in the hills over there.
Wow.
And they were interviewed on TV in Ireland, but obviously they just took the mickey out of them. And so they kind of keep it quiet now. So I do come from a point of view where I'm very open to this as an idea, as a real story. I'm interested in where it goes from there, but I just want to make everybody watching this understand that I'm very open-minded about this stuff. And
That's right.
so I've got a couple of little questions. What's the guy's name again?
Well, originally he was a racing car journalist.
Oh, was he?
Right. Claude Villion.
Claude Villion.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's actually also a very well-known singer when he was younger.
Oh, was he? Right, interesting.
Yes,
So a couple of questions. Elohim, that's the same Elohim from the Bible, am I right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, that's question number 1. Question number 2, did he describe what this small chap in the suit looked like?
Yes, they're human-looking, like us, because we share the same DNA. And just like Jesus had a father from heaven, or another from another place, so too has Rael. In fact, they share the same genetic lineage. So they can interrelate with humanity because it's their creation, because we are, and this is the extraordinary information that was brought to Earth by this encounter, was that we are a deliberate scientific creation from another humanity in space. And that's with the manipulation of the DNA. But it's not what people think often people say, oh, it's an interference that happened with, people who were here already. No, no, no. They started from scratch. Of course, there was a planet here of water, but they raised the landmass with their technology, and they proceeded on the landmass to build 7 different laboratories in 7 special areas all around the world. And they had competitions actually between these laboratories in the creation of what they were creating. So say caterpillars, butterflies, birds. I mean, you look at the creation and how extraordinary it is. You can see there's so much art and so much beauty, that it was scientists and artists working together to create what is all around us.
So a few things pop up. As you've described that, a few movies pop into my head. Closer to the Third Kind, Richard Dreyfuss going to the tabletop mountain for the close encounter. Another thing that pops into mind is the recent Ridley Scott reboot of Alien, when the first scene, I can't remember what it was called, Prometheus. The first scene in that film was of a guy on a planet, which implied that the human race was created. And also, 2001 kind of implies this.
Oh, yeah.
And a few things come to mind that are, like, it's obvious that we've been lied to about human history, 100%. It's also obvious to me that from evidence that I've been looking at for years, that the human race actually goes back millions and millions and millions of years. So is there a timeline on the story from the Elohim about when they started creating stuff in the Waterworld planet? There's another movie, Waterworld.
Yes, yeah. Well, the way they test for timelines, the carbon dating isn't actually correct. It isn't actually really giving the real results of the time. And I think it's definitely not millions, but you're looking at thousands.
Well, yeah, but this is what I'm saying. I'm saying the official scientific story of the human race goes back a few thousand years, but the stuff that's been hidden from us is stuff that's far, far older. For example, Michael Tellinger in South Africa talks about the Anunnaki being an Adam's calendar down in South Africa, and 300,000 years ago, 3 cities with bigger footprints than London, loads of ancient stone technology.
In his videos,
and he talks about the genetic manipulation of the human race at that point by the Anunnaki to create a slave race to mine gold. So does that fit in with this?
That's what I'm trying to say. That the Elohim are very benevolent. They don't need, they could create gold, with the technology they have. They could do it in a lab. They don't need to come to another planet to mine it.
No, I'm saying the Anunnaki.
So
how does that fit in?
Well, I'm not sure how it fits in, and I must admit I haven't spent a lot of time, studying the history on that. But I do know that the Elohim do not harm. They protect. Obviously, you do have some real instances of catastrophe, like the floods, Sodom and Gomorrah, and they did that for certain reasons.
So the Elohim were responsible for the flood 12,000 years ago. I think that's dated.
Yes.
Yeah. And what was the reason for the flood from Rae lism point of view? Because I've heard it's like it was a cleansing. It was like getting rid of these same draconian types that are controlling and causing all this havoc right now. It was to get rid of them, and this is their comeback tour. Does that fit in?
Yeah, I believe it was that kind of situation. Yeah.
And does the idea that the New World Order at the moment has higher masters that are known as Dracos or reptilians, that kind of thing. Did the Elohim have anything to do with them? Did they create them as well? How does
I don't know how to answer that, but I don't think they did create them. I don't know. I really can't imagine them creating them.
Oh, yeah, I'm just trying to get. I'm just trying to get.
I know it is hard to answer these questions.
Well, I know you've got more to tell. I'm just going to pepper it with some information to see how it fits in.
I totally I totally relate, because I see this information that you're talking about. And they don't actually. They do speak about the change that happened to humanity in terms of they were created, and human being wasn't meant to be created. So the scientists that were working here were meant, create life, but don't create yourself, or us. And they did that, and they actually even made us a bit more advanced, or we have a capacity to be a bit more advanced if we do the right kind of behavior. So the scientists who did do that, they were actually punished for that, and it was disapproved of on their planet. But what happened is, later on, a craft landed on their planet with information about their origins, and those scientists were forgiven because it was understood that this is the way humanities create other humanities through time. Is, one day we will go to a planet and create life, as we're starting to do. Craig Venter is starting to do, well, he does synthetic, doesn't he? Is starting to create life in laboratory. Well, it's happening to us now.
I was going to ask you this later, but I was looking at a video about cloning the other day, and it was, I can't remember the name of the company. There's a company in Canada called Clone something, and the CEO is a Rae lism, or
yes, Bridget. Yeah. Clonaid.
So, and there was quite a bit of controversy about 20 years ago with a cloned baby, wasn't there? That was.
Yes, yes, it was a big event.
I've just done a research on it. I don't know much about it.
Yeah. Well, it was announced as the first human cloning. And
it wasn't the first, though, was it? Because human cloning's been going on for a long time.
This is what we're finding out, because that was an utter no-no at that time, to even consider that anybody was doing that.
Well, there's in my mind, there's absolutely, if they did 30 years ago, there's no way that somebody somewhere wouldn't be using that technology to do it on humans. And if you look at what's going on at the moment with certain people, politicians, and there's a lot of evidence that's compelling that there are cloned. And in fact,
it's rampant.
It's almost people talking about cloning. There's Britney Spears videos with cloning factories. I'm absolutely convinced that cloning's going on. I'm just wondering how that fits in with Rae lism. I'm wondering how that fits in with our perception of what God is.
Okay.
When I say our perception, I mean, the human race's perception, not me and you necessarily.
Yeah. So yes, Bridget did clone a human baby, and I think she's done many since that time. And of course, she's very honorable and respects the privacy of the parents and the child's identity. Obviously, there'll be a time where they do come forth, as when it's the right time for the individual or the parents collectively, however they do come forth. But yes, you're right. So this is why it was announced like the first human cloning. And this is why there was because I actually did the media for that in Australia.
Okay.
Oh yeah, my phone was tapped. We had people calling us like nonstop. I've never been so busy in terms of the media as that event. And then Bridget did interviews down here on the major channels about that event, and it was a huge landmark event. And she's been very successful. But as there was, the cabal must have been horrified because that was their stuff. That's what they like to do. But we now find out it's been going on.
I've got a question about that. I was talking about this to a friend the other day about clones, and we had a little chat. And I was referencing The Boys from Brazil, another movie from the 70s, Gregory Peck, which was, if you've not seen it, anybody, it's about a Nazi doctor that places clones of Adolf Hitler around the world and then goes around and watches them grow up, hoping that one of them will be the next version of Hitler.
Gosh.
During that conversation, I was saying, it looks like Joe Biden's a clone or a lookalike, and he said to me a very interesting question. He said, "So what? When there is a clone, if it is a clone of an existing person, where does the soul go? Whose soul is in the clone?
All right.
What's
yeah? Well, I haven't read on the science in terms of the transfer of the information or how they do it. I've heard people speak about the fact that they seem to take the information down when people are in a REM sleeping.
REM.
But yeah. So Bridget, of course, did her cloning from, the single cell from the very beginning. I don't know how they're making these clones that they make, but apparently they do grow these clones quite quickly. So, in the messages, it explains very sincerely and carefully that if we are to be recreated or to live again, it is through deliberate scientific intervention. Yes, we have the breath, which is been misunderstood to be soul. And yes, we have our consciousness. And in fact, the very first cells of conception are the important part of our consciousness, or there is a leading cell in our body, which resides around here, that is the now cell. It is the eternally present cell. Well, just through meditation, we train ourselves to be naturally that they are that way anyway. So what does exist is harmonization with infinity. And then, of course, you do have other things like channeling, people who are able to channel or travel or see visions, like the lady information I sent you the other day.
We should just mention that. That was a bit of feedback.
And in the messages, the Elohim, say do respect channelers, because there are people who do receive information from other sources, but mainly benevolent humanities in space, or maybe they're not human, because we've got to consider the extraordinary infinity that we're in, and the symbol of the Rae lism symbol explains to us, so as above as below. So inside us are worlds, galaxies, other humanities. Of course, the ratio of time and mass is different, and therefore we can't communicate with them. We can feel infinity, deep inside us. But that's the diagram I sent you of the cyclic circle of the infinite. Just to right here, right now, we're part of an atom, an aspect of an atom in another being who's contemplating its infinity. And so too is that being contemplating another level of infinity. And so...
Can you do me a favor? On the volume at your end. It's creating a feedback.
Okay, sure.
I won't be able to ask you any.
Okay, I'll take the volume down a bit. How's that?
That's great.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, really well.
Okay, so yeah, I went down a bit of a cloning cul-de-sac there. Why don't we go back a bit in time to your personal experience when you actually went to France and you met this guy, didn't you?
Okay.
Because this has taken over your life for the last 40 years, hasn't it? And changed your life.
Oh yeah. I would say that my life was changed the moment I saw the poster for this talk that Rael was going to be at the convention center in Australia, Darling Harbour Convention Center. And, you know, I think I had just come out of the salon or had my hair done or something for another event or something else going on. And I saw this poster, and it was of a profile of the Maitreya speaking to a crowd. And it said, "Let's build an embassy for extraterrestrials." And I thought, my goodness, that is the most level-headed thing I've seen for a long time. You know, constructive, courageous, you know, forward-thinking, progress, you know, just in that one title. And then the light was dark, and so I couldn't really see all the information. So I decided that the next day I would come back and have a really good look at this poster. So dropped the kids to school, came back, looked at this lamppost with this poster on it, and I saw the tape around the poster was really, you know, like, you know, just so emotional. Emotional sticky tape, like, I want people to see this, you know. And I took a notice of that, and then I saw that, you know, it's in 2 weeks' time, and you know, I thought, right, organize babysitters, you know, definitely not missing this. You know, I just had a feeling that this isn't something that's held every day. It's not as if you could say, oh well, you know, I could go to that another time. I really had a sense. I really had a sense that no, this is something. This is something big. And just as the days progressed, I just could not get this out of my mind. I was just thinking about it all the time, and closer to the event, the kind of questions I was sort of wondering were like, you know, gosh, well, you know, embassy, extraterrestrials, it's got to do with outworldly, maybe I could even be meeting the brother of Jesus, maybe, you know. And I thought, when I had that thought, I thought, oh my God, if that's going to happen, because I'm actually from a very Catholic family. And so I had that thought, and I thought, oh my goodness, well, if that's going to be the case, I better just get white clothes, new shoes, you know. I mean, you know, if you felt that you were meeting a prophet, which Rael is, I wanted to get dressed for that, you know, because that's not an ordinary occasion. And so I went to the convention center. I actually took a friend, had the children looked after, everything was fine. And when I walked in, I noticed that there was an older gentleman who was actually my partner's father, the one who helped Rael publish, was holding the books with so much respect and care and reverence. And, you know, being an artist, I saw that and I just thought, my goodness, this is big. So I made sure I sat front row or second to front. And then Rael came and he spoke, and it was one of those experiences that you were just enthralled. And they explained the message with a little movie, and then Rael spoke about how we have to have so much more love, more compassion for all races. And he was speaking about things, you know, in 1992 that you wouldn't hear people talking about that kind of thing then. And I was really taken by his sweetness, his demeanor, and again, talking about this big subject that we have to think of each other, you know, as a collective and unify, and then of course build the embassy for the creators to come back to. And Rael actually has a very, very beautiful saying. He says, you know, first we must build the embassy inside ourselves. And that is really beautiful, because that means when you find out this message, and because there's so many beautiful teachings, not only in the book itself, the messages itself, but also in the teachings that Rael gives us all the time through, you can find them at Rael Academy on YouTube. And they're so amazing, so beautiful. And it's these teachings that make our life so beautiful. Even if you were having hardship, you could not lose sight of the beauty of how you can be or how you can feel, because we are actually responsible for what we think, and we have control over our feelings. We can choose our thoughts. And this is where it gets spectacular, because the messages, for me personally, make one's life so rich, so beautiful. And the more you work with the understandings and the teachings, and the more you live them, the more beautiful your life gets. And then you find out that what makes Raelianism so beautiful is this Buddhist kind of sensibility of being. And that's something, it is starting to come out in our culture. And in fact, I think Australia as a culture have an understanding of what being is, because the nature here is so spectacular that, you know, people do communicate with it and do live in a being way, you know, maybe. And of course, the First Nation people certainly have that as a very important way
totally
of their culture. Yeah, it's their culture.
I was speaking to, I don't know if you saw a video I did the other day with a friend of mine in Australia, Byron Joel, and he was saying...
Oh, yes, I saw that.
He was saying a similar thing.
Yeah.
There's no real culture with the current Australia, but the First Nation, very much so. And how does... I mean, I've spoken briefly before, and you are obviously aware of the cabal, or Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. How do they fit into how does Rae lism deal with it?
Okay, well, you know, Rael has been, you know, look, anything that isn't in their script, they are distasteful about. They, you know, they make, you know, they use their media to, you know, try to smear people or denigrate people or whatever. But, you know, smart people, you know, just don't take any notice of that. They understand that obviously if they're doing that, they see that as, you know, something they haven't got control of, or something that's, you know, that that they haven't got in their script, basically. You know, it's so liberating, this information, the messages, which you can find in the book Intelligent Design, Message from the Designers.
Read, you familiar with Graham Hancock's Gods and
yes, yes.
Eric, I can't remember his name.
Van Duniken. Yeah. Yeah, Van Duniken. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, actually, Riles is very good friends with Van Duniken.
What was his?
I don't know if he's still alive. Is he? I'm not sure. Okay. No, they're good. They're friends.
He wrote. What was his powerful book? Was it Chariots of the Gods?
Yeah, Chariots of the Gods.
Yeah.
That's right. That was it. Yeah.
I mean, that they're very aligned with that kind of thinking.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I'm speaking about the embassy. So part of the information that was given to Maitreya was that he was to build the third temple and to build the embassy. Well, actually, the Elohim are so polite, so sweet. They say, you know, we'd love to come back. We'd like you to build us an embassy, to welcome us back, an official embassy, an official residence. And actually the design of the embassy, which is circles and domes, appears in crop circles from time to time. Yeah. And they're the ones who are making the crop circles. And giving us information through the crop circles as well.
Sorry, the volume's gone up again.
Okay.
I've seen video clips of crop circles being created by very small lights that move very quickly.
Yeah.
I've seen that on Chris Everard's channel, and the footage is real and it's compelling. You're saying that
wonderful. Yes.
These
that's
tiny,
them.
These tiny
well, that's their technology.
Okay.
That's technology.
So I'm going to understand.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you an obvious question then, Tara. If there are creators and all this crap's going on, why do they speak to us in wheat fields in code? Why don't they just come down and sort it out?
Okay. Well, they don't want to be blown up or shot at. Or captured.
Technology.
They appear. I mean, I told you, I've seen the ships.
Where did
they do appear. That I saw the ships on the approach to the 25th anniversary of Rael's second encounter. Rael had a second encounter on the 7th in October, and the 7th, and he was actually taken to their civilization in space. So he has remarkable information about the direction we can go to be a successful civilization. And on their planet, they have no police, they have no government, they have a leisure society. Those who wish to work in terms of a vocational dedication to something that fascinates them. They're very amorous with each other, full of love. And there are actually with them a certain number of earthlings, those who have, helped humanity, served humanity, given to humanity, and are deserving of recreation, reside with them there too. So anyway, this is for everyone to find out for yourself. It's so full on. And
you hear me?
I just want to say that I can hear you. I wouldn't want to do anyone the injustice of giving this information in terms of this is something, this is my book here. Sorry, it's a bit worn because I've read it and I cherish it. And this is the signature that Rael signed for me on the night that I got this information. And so it's really a book you have to read for yourself. And it's something not to miss too, because I can only tell you that this is an enormous message. It's also going to, it also has in the messages the solutions of how we can escape from the situation we're in presently. And we have, there are over 60,000, I believe, Raelians around the world, in every country, in every part of the world, who understand this information and who are, you know, living ordinary lives. No ordinary life is ordinary. Everything is totally extraordinary, isn't it? And they're living this truth because it's truth. And you know, truth that is very grounding, very enlightening, very empowering.
Yeah.
And you know,
so a couple of things.
Your life becomes a celebration.
Yeah, what the Elohim society that you described then sounds very similar to GESARA.
Right.
Which I'm wondering, you know,
Yes.
is there a link there? Because GESARA sounds like heaven on earth. I mean,
I know.
You know,
yeah. Well, we, you know, in a very short, even in the messages, it says to us in a very short space of time, we could make Earth a paradise.
Yeah, that'd be great. Oh, that would be.
Yeah, with fairness, with kindness, with making sure that everybody has a home, everybody has food, everybody has a vocation that makes them happy. You know, can you imagine if you were to give a child, as it was growing up, because all of us have a very special genetic code. We all have our talents innate in us. You know, some are music, art, writing. You know, there's something innate in our genes, in our our children. When you look at them, you watch them very carefully to see, you know, what are they going towards? What are they attracted to? What's their inclination? And this is really true. It's in our DNA. It's in our makeup. And so if we were to cherish and look after this natural inclination, instead of this rote learning that we have in the present education system, or useless information, but we let our kids be themselves. And the message is very strong about respecting your children as individuals.
Yeah, I do.
Yes, I bet you do.
Oh, I do.
You know, they're tiny people, but they're individuals. They have a sense of what they like, what they want to know more about, and how they respond. And that is to be really honored and looked after.
I can't disagree.
And so if we take a generation of children and we are to nourish them and give them what they're asking for, what there suits them. Can you imagine the amount of genius that will appear on this planet, or the amount of happy, fully wondrous human beings, harmonious human beings will create? So yeah, I believe GESARA is really going in the right direction for this stage, but there's another stage to come, and there are Raelians who are working with a great deal of dedication on this perspective, and that is the topic of paradism, which is building a society where there's no money, no work. Again, using the vocational idea, people can, do what they wish to do. And we have high technology looking after us in terms of doing manual work, and we have benevolent artificial intelligence, that's watched and constructive, nurturing us as well in terms of what global distribution or what people need here and there. So, yeah.
Did you see the Jason Shirker interview and the pyramid code that got released the other day? And
yeah, I saw the same person speaking about the children last night, but I haven't seen the whole video. I just saw him speaking with the lady,
and he was talking about the children being rescued. But he then talked about the fact that he was approached by people that were members of the TLS, the light source, I think it is. I don't know exactly what it's called.
TLS, yeah.
That consisted of extraterrestrials and very old people, like thousands of years old. And then he released a book, an ebook that I tried to read the other night. I've not finished it yet. Pyramid Code.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which
I've got that queued up as one of my talks to listen to.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with everything coming out at the moment. But I was just
so much.
Is the realist movement? What do you call it? The realist movement? Would that be right?
Raelians. We call ourselves Raelians. Yeah.
So you've got
Rae lism.
We've got 60,000 Raelians around the world, presumably in all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And trying to help humanity in giving these visions. Are the Raelians? Are they familiar with this TLS? Because there seems to be lots of different stories coming out from all sorts of directions. I think it's my interest is trying to discern. I mean, all of this sounds wonderful, and I'm going to go and read the book and have a look at the videos and stuff. But I'm still trying to work out, my own spirituality, my own place in the world, finding my own skill sets, and trying to be a good dad, and trying to also hold space by surviving in this world, because you've still got to make all of this stuff. Is there a connection between the TLS and the Raelians?
Well, look, there's a connection from the point of view that the Elohim watch all of us. They have the technology to follow all of us.
They're keeping an eye on us all.
And of course, they don't intervene. Obviously, they do intervene when they wish to, in terms of specific events, possibly to protect humanity, maybe from time to time. But just like we don't like to interfere too much with our children, they too. We have to grow.
We want them.
Ourselves. And obviously, what's happening right now is just an enormous growth spurt. Because look, I don't know about you, but I've certainly lived most of my life, yes, being aware of bad people to a certain degree, but I never ever knew that there was another culture existing underneath my feet.
Yeah.
I just never ever could imagine that, and I think it's it's a real horror story that we're all facing, and have to come to terms with it. And there are no words, are there? Really?
Well, I think the JCK video the other day about these visions of what's going in underground in Australia was really compelling.
Yes.
Because when she described the sort of minotaurs and the demons and the cyclops underground in this place,
That's right.
I've been working hard on my pineal gland over the is, and I get visions, and I had a very
Wow.
described. I had a very clear, very clear vision of this sort of giant minotaur-looking, demonic-looking, metallic kind
Wow.
of thing, and it was looking at me, and I wasn't afraid, but I was like, "Wow, that is a powerful creature."
Yeah.
It didn't say anything. It didn't. I think it might have been telepathically trying to say something to me, but normally I'd be like, "No, go away now."
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So these, a lot of what I talk about is about demonic possession and entities and things like this. These things are we're multidimensional beings. We're all these things going on, and it does appear that there is this hellfire under the earth where these things are consuming us and our children. So where does Rae lism fit in with that stuff? That's what I'd be interested to know.
Well,
I mean, how can
it's such a difficult question.
the Elohim are the creators of the human race, and
Yeah.
parallel between that and us being parents of children. As a parent of children, I feel the indignant anger at these creatures for taking our children and feeding off them.
Yes.
And I would look to my father to help me come and get rid of these creatures.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure they are assisting in terms of, I would like to think they are assisting the individuals who are doing the actual work.
Well, this brings me on to Trump then. How does saying, and I think he's definitely being protected by somebody. I mean, they've tried to.
Yeah. I would say he is. Yeah.
And he's definitely doing incredible work, right?
Oh,
It's just incredible.
Absolutely extraordinary.
I know,
Absolutely extraordinary. And in fact, the whole team, the Q team, have you listened to Joanno Saving?
No.
Which is JFK. I have to send you that. I'll send you some videos of JFK. He did a most remarkable discourse about Esther of the Bible.
Esther's the entity, isn't it?
No, she was a.
Was that Sophie? I'm getting confused with Sophie.
No. I don't know exactly who she was in the Bible, but she was a woman of the time, and she stood up to one of the kings. But JFK does a discourse about this, and he makes a comparison to this time, and it is one of the most beautiful discourses I've ever heard. Really, the story and the way, the intent and the passion. And so I think we have a lot of attention at the moment with what we're going through. That's what I feel personally. I really do think this is a turning point in humanity. And again, it's an information war. And you're a great person because you are helping humanity to get the right information, and people do need this information, to help sort things out, not only for them on a personal level, because they're, lots of people are finding out that the Matrix isn't such a hot place to be. Maybe a lot of people in Melbourne aren't, because they quite like being at home, so there's that side to it.
Well, it's like the guy in the Matrix when he eats the steak. He says, "I know this is fake, but it tastes so good," and then he betrays everybody. The Judas character. Another question that goes back to the cloning a little bit, because I'm still a bit stuck on this. Firstly, what's the purpose of cloning humans, and why do it for profit in a business? That's one question.
Okay.
The other one is, one of my sons had when he was born and he started talking, he would say, "That's not my name. I Gary. And then he started telling us his life, and it was very clear. And over a 6-month period, he'd get quite cross with us for calling him by his actual name. And he'd say, no, that's not me. I Gary. And then he'd describe his mammy and his pappy and his house. And the fact that he died in a drowned in the river when he was about 8 years old. And he described his dog and the car. And it was obviously Ireland that he was living in. So he's, reincarnation, that's a reincarnated child. There's no question about that. So this question of soul and clones, still a bit stuck on it. I just like a bit of clarity from you, how that works.
Okay. In the messages, officially the Elohim speak to us about that there is a lot of misunderstanding about reincarnation, and that looking at the Buddhist way, that it's more to explain what happens to a whole humanity, where they get very close to a point where they can be successful, but they're sometimes not, and they destroy themselves completely. And so they say in the messages that reincarnation is more about that topic than about people living again. But I don't have all the answers for that, because I haven't investigated enough into that area.
Mm-hmm.
But I do, I am sensitive to the fact that, people say, oh, look, I've had this, or I remember this, or, but the messages are quite firm on that the ideology of it. And don't forget that, there is a lot of information out there in the cosmos, and we don't know what journeys little beings go through, just being little beings. Are they in touch with the Akashic records? Are they in touch with another story? But also, you've got to look too that the way we're made of carrots and vegetables and this and this and this. And I have heard it said that sometimes these particles have a lot of information in them. So it could be, you could look at it from a more atomic point of view. It could be a cell or a neuron or something that did have that existence, but now it's got a bit transformed, and it's now part of a human being, and now it's broadcasting, look, that's what I was a part of. So they're very refined questions, and I wouldn't like to be an official answer on that, but I do know that in the messages, when they speak about reincarnation, it's more to do with humanity's nearly making it, but not, and then having to revert back to the very beginning again, and progressing.
I don't want to. I want to.
So we don't want that.
I want to work it all out in this lifetime.
Yeah. Well, what would be interesting would be for you to read the messages and see how much clarification you get from the message itself. From where you are right now. And yeah, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. But it's not a big deal like, you go see a great movie, and then for 2 weeks, it's fantastic, you're soaring, or you just read this great book, this great novel, and you think, oh, wow, that was just amazing. And then it fades out. This book doesn't fade. It doesn't. This book, for me, gets under your skin, gets into your heart, gets into your whole being, and it's transformative.
Well, yeah,
and in the nicest way.
Yeah, well, I'm going to read it. I have a natural. People say the same thing about the Bible, the Quran, and loads of other books. So, you know.
Yeah. Well, this is the lovely thing. All the major prophets come from the Elohim.
Well, they do all seem to say the same thing.
They're all sent. So this is what makes Rae lism the religion of religions, because
It's the roots.
it has the potential to unite all religions, because we're all coming from the same source. And not only that, we're all one, we're all unified, although we don't realize it from, you know, the different kinds of projections we make and the different kind of thinking and the different kind of experiences. But when you think about the infinity, that there are worlds inside us and atoms and other civilizations, so too we are part of another great big being that's contemplating its level of infinity. So, you know, we're parked in one little atom of that great being, so we're one.
Yeah, I get that.
And the more we meditate on the infinite in the now, which is where the happiness is, the more we harmonize. And the more, in fact, actually, there's a meditation tonight. 1 Minute for Peace on Facebook. You can go and find the invite to that meditation.
1 minute
will be happening. Yeah, 1 Minute for Peace.
I'll put the link in the video description. I've got a big problem with infinity. You know what it is?
Oh yes, that's yeah.
You do know what it is.
I'm guessing.
What is it?
I'm guessing I know.
What is it?
That you can't conceptualize it, or?
No, it never ends.
Oh!
No, I couldn't resist that gag.
Yeah.
Well,
you're right about that.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating.
But they say it. They actually say that. They're very sweet. The Elohim explain that in the messages, that it's hard for us to contemplate it because we are finite. But the thing is, we can feel it.
Well, if the Elohim are watching, I'd just like to say, come and see me.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. Yeah.
I'd love to go there.
Yeah.
I'd love to go there. But look, fascinating.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Just reminding me of what students we are.
Yeah. Well, what's extraordinary is we're living the apocalypse now.
Yeah.
You know, everything's being revealed, and
it's an exciting time. It's exhilarating, isn't it? It's. I mean, I don't want to go to.
Yeah. What I'd like to do is I'd like to get Daniel, who's in charge of the embassy project, which is about the building of the third temple.
Sorry,
I'd love you to interview Daniel.
Why is it the third temple? Where's the first two temples?
I don't know. There were 2 temples already in the history. Solomon's temple, then there was the second temple, and now this is the third.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'd love to bring Daniel on to speak to you about that.
Okay.
Because he's Hamdinger, he's a guide, and he's like really he's close to Rael, and he'll be able to give you the latest on that. Right. So if you let me, I can send you, if you wish, I can send him your email.
Yeah, that's fine.
And get him to get back to you.
That's fine. That's good.
Okay.
This show's taken over my life.
What?
I said this show's taken over my life. I've got work to do as well.
Well, you're doing well. Actually, no, this is great. Well, soon, yeah, let's hope for GESARA and ASARA.
Oh, I am.
Then you can, yeah.
I'm trying to will it into existence.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah, I'm sure they're doing something like that. The White Hats.
It normally happens.
Yeah, I think they're doing something special.
So do I. I pray that.
Yes, I think so.
We want to contemplate.
Yeah.
I want to go. I want to go down and meet these demons and have it out with them. Big fights.
Oh no, I don't want to go near there.
I want to take them out. Anyway, look.
No, I want to send love and meditation to all the people who are helping the children and saving the children.
Yeah.
I send energy every day
In actual fact, it'd be nice to say a quick prayer for all the, because today is 9/11, for all the.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, we can do that. Should we do that?
Yeah, let's do that because.
Okay, let's do that. Would you like me to do it?
Yes, I would. Yeah.
Okay, okay, let's do that. Okay. So exhale, just get really comfortable. Take a beautiful breath. Relax. Another beautiful breath. Feel the calmness of this breath. Exhale. We bring our focus with our heart to our mind in unison together. And we send now together immense love, compassion, strength, and healing to all those families, firemen, police, mothers, grandfathers, children who are experiencing a loss from the event of 9/11, a cruel act. We send into their hearts with beautiful light of love, beautiful violet light, blue light, healing light into their hearts. Telepathically, we feel compassion, love, and we send healing. Maybe they be liberated from their pain. And may we help them in their liberation. As we move into a new future of being present in the now, being happy in the now, and being fulfilled by living in the now. Elohim, thank you. We love you. And we love our brothers and sisters and all those who are bringing this incredible transformation to humanity at this time. Elohim, thank you.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.
We'll speak soon.
And so it is. Hey, thank you very much and look forward to catching up soon again.
Yeah, you take care.
And I love your show.
Thank you very much. Very kind.
Thank you. Okay. Have a beautiful day there.
I will.
Are you in Ireland or are you in the Mediterranean?
I'm in Ireland.
Are you? How fantastic. I love Ireland.
Oh, it's a beautiful country. It's just a shame.
Oh, it's fantastic. Oh, well, that's the same all around the world a little bit, except for Trump.
Great place without them. Anyway.
Okay. All right.
Take care.
Have a great day. Bye. Thank you.